So I was just on vacation, and the game I was playing in my downtime was sometimes you come back to a game at a later stage in life, sometimes like decades later, and you take a moment to take in all the change. Not just the change within games or media, but the change in the world, the change in your life, who you are, who you've been, who you've become. And I had that experience with this game right here. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Metroid Fusion. These Metroids are fusing to you. Samus is fused to the Game Boy Advance. The Fusion arc was happening in Dragon Ball Z. Fusion was all the rage in 2002. It's so hot, I'm fused to my seat. Very much feels 2002, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It makes you want to drink a Sobe while sending a text on your Razr and watching Spider-Man 2002. So if you stay till the end of this video, I'll reveal something a little interesting about this version playthrough of the game. If you watch, you may get hints of it. A secret that could put my non-existent Metroid cred to shame. Hello, if you're new here, my name is Gilly Monster. I do all sorts of stuff on this channel. Please take a moment, like and subscribe, and let's get into it. But this game is really special to me. It was my first Metroid game. It's been there with me at earlier points in my life. I remember getting it on Christmas 2002 and passing it back and forth between my cousin and I, who's no longer with us, just to see who could get a little farther. I remember playing on a beach vacation and staying up way too late with that brand new backlit Game Boy SP I got for my birthday when I was supposed to be getting sleep because we were supposed to get up early for the beach to get a good spot. This game has been there, but I never beat it. I got stuck at the same place every time, but we'll get into that in a minute. It's not the place you think. This game is rather unique in the Metroid line. I wouldn't call it a black sheep. It's not Other M or Metroid 2, but it certainly makes some creative changes from the games preceding it. After like an 8-year break between Metroid games, this released with Metroid Prime at the same time, and from the second you turn it on, you feel its presence. The music, the darker colors, the different suit, the weirder enemies, the X-Parasites in general. It's interesting because you would expect the big console Metroid game to be the more edgy game, but this handheld game definitely has some darker energy to it. So essentially Samus, who's telling this story to you in the beginning, is on this planet when she's attacked by this strange creature. She loses consciousness and almost dies, and finds out that the new X-Parasite has infected Samus' central nervous system. Eventually you are saved, but the suit is fused to your body. See what I did there? You've lost all your powers and have to regain them from absorbing these specific X-Parasites, which come from more challenging enemies. Oh yeah, you can also absorb these X-Parasites for like health and ammo now, but you have the Metroid's sensitivity to the cold. So once you're back, you are instructed to go to this BSL station, big man-made station, which is more than meets the eye, and you have an AI guiding you along the way who you name Adam because it reminds you of a commanding officer who's also no longer with us. A seemingly decent guy who called her lady in a term of endearment sort of way. Essentially, you're taking orders from the Federation, distilled down to this chat GPT AI, which also becomes a bit of a problem down the road. And the X factor of this game, you're being hunted this entire time by a specific version of this parasite that essentially has taken on yourself and has all your max abilities. When you see this enemy, which is you can't kill it. You're simply instructed to run. This thing right here gives this game an edge the entire time, especially in a new area with that cryptic music. You could feel the presence of this thing searching for you, and it just pops up in these moments that really force you to think fast. As the game goes on and you do the normal Metroid stuff of exploring, regaining your powers, defeating enemies, and some awesome yet at times creepy boss battles, notable mentions are right here that I never beat as a kid. This one right here. Not because it's hard or annoying, which it certainly can be, and I hate spiders. I actually defeated the boss, but I could never master the spin jump necessary to get out of this room. I actually remember thinking my game was progression locked because of this, which, considering the time frame for Game Boy games at this time, would not be the most outlandish conclusion. And this guy called the Nightmare. The fight is awesome, but I don't know, I started to pity the guy. But God, I love the gravity distortion mechanics. Something I like about this game, especially for me, since I didn't get all the energy packs and missile packs, you really can't brute force a lot of these bosses and need to do some serious dodging, bobbing, weaving, and waiting for the right moment to strike. A great representation of the very idea of a video game boss. But yeah, the Metroid formula is here, especially when you really get a lot of the powers that improve your navigation. Going back into areas you've been before that give you a sense of progression and really get you to look at these areas differently with fun little rooms that may have been there the whole time. It's a really strange feeling to find an area of a game you've played almost a lifetime ago and see something you've never seen before. And even in general, running around this man-made facility is really a sight to behold. With each of these chambers having different biomes and aesthetics to it, it's a cool combination of the natural and mechanical. The scale of it is impressive. A big notable moment for me is these little intelligent beings you end up freeing. I love these dudes. As you progress, you start to get the feeling that not all is as it seems. The player is cued into conversations that are being had without your knowledge, specifically asking if you are aware of the situation you find yourself in. Towards the end of the game, you start to do tasks that are not of the computer's recommendation, such as getting an extra security clearance or finding your way into a restricted lab where the scientists aboard this station have been making these Metroid clones without her knowledge that can mature mad fast. And the SAX, the parasite impersonating Samus, doesn't care about you as much anymore when they show up. It tries to take these things out. The lab is destroyed, the computer gets mad at you yet again for essentially disturbing the research of these creatures for peaceful purposes. Ah, the old weapons for peace argument. Also, the computer casually drops that there's no fewer than 10 SAX parasites on the ship you're on, which is a heavy thing to just throw out there. The computer tells you to leave everything to the Federation, who Samus thinks will just get wiped out by the SAX and absorbed, which she believes will make this parasite unstoppable. Samus wants to blow up the station, but the computer wants to keep the ship locked until the Federation gets there, which means you are also stuck with these things. With all this new information, Samus is freaking out, essentially calls the computer by her deceased commanding officer's name, Adam, in a last ditch of hopelessness, and this confuses the computer, which then does a total 180 and agrees with a plan, telling you the best way to go about it, hinting that this CEO who took a liking to Samus may have had his consciousness uploaded to this AI. Final stretch time. Here's the plan. You go to detonate the station, but the SAX is here and now there's nowhere to run. A fight ensues, and once you win, which by the way was not the hardest fight in the game, in a turn of events, instead of absorbing this parasite, it flees. You set the ship to detonate with a race against the clock to get out, and then you find your ship is just gone, and in its place is this huge Omega Metroid that's been living on the ship. Once you lose all your health, the SAX comes in to save the day, but it gets struck down too, and its last act is to give you your final power, the ice beam, to be able to take this thing down. However, your ship is still not here. But what's that? Coming flying in at the most clutch time is your ship, in a rather fun twist, being piloted by these little dudes. I love these dudes. AI signs off with calling you lady, just like Adam. Let's go. Credits rolled. The gameplay on its own is the standard Metroid affair. Running, gunning, jumping, climbing, but the controls are really improved over Super Metroid, which I know is a controversial statement, but deal with it. I love the physics of this game, how it flows. No run button, more simplified and organic control scheme. Part of that was a necessity because of the Game Boy Advance's limitations, but it proved to be beneficial. No convoluted press select and forget to switch your weapon back. No extra button for aiming up and down. Just simple and organic. A fusion, if you will. Progressing to get different abilities like missiles, bombs, morph balls, and so on. It really is a cool experience to get comfortable with the rules of the Metroid games. It's a game that encourages you to just shoot everything that moves and that doesn't move. Walking into a room and shooting a wall or dropping a few bombs on the floor can reveal a hidden pathway or something that you can come back later, or that you might have all the abilities to deal with now. It's really a satisfying feeling to find like one tiny block you can blow up and drop down to find an upgrade or a really interesting area. My favorite things were actually just jumping on a border of a room to find a little area of the wall that you could just go into to find something else. So easily missable, but so satisfying to find. My favorite example of this is when you're on the elevator for the millionth time and it just stops moving and you realize you could just move off it. Literally just go out of the frame into the next area. But one of the creative changes is a more linear experience, which is pretty controversial to a game series that really pioneered a more open-ended exploration style and open-ended styles of gameplay. But there's a reason for that linearity. It tells a story that's worth being told. And I use that term linearity lightly because you can still wander off the beaten path. But if you're ever confused, these navigation rooms will just fill you in on where to go and what to do, which honestly, as a kid playing the first time, was really helpful and pushed me along the experience this game was trying to create. And just a quick look back, playing Metroid Fusion at the beach like I had done so many years ago was just such a therapeutic experience. You may not have the same experience as me, especially if you didn't grow up with it, but it just forced me to reflect on a lot of things, especially the medium I was playing it on. I was rocking my 12-inch MacBook with an Xbox controller. Calm down, I still own my original copy. And it just felt so natural, but looking at this up-resed screen, backlight, even a controller, it's like I and the world move forward. But this was brought along with me. I thought of other memories I had with my cousin, a Christmas at a house my aunt doesn't own anymore, spending time with people I don't really see much anymore. But I didn't think these thoughts in regret. I had them in joy. I looked around at my world with the people I still have with me, the new people that have entered my space, the experiences I had since then that shaped me, good and bad, and man, just how much I love this game. But whether on its own or as part of a series, this game really pushes what the Game Boy Advance could do. It's a perfect example of the Metroidvania formula that other games try to get close to, but no one quite nails like Metroid. There's twists, there's turns, surprises, and lots of environmental storytelling that you just absorb as you wander through this place. It's a great game to play over a weekend or something to take on a trip. I give it an I loved it on the 5 feeling scale. The first game I've put here on this channel. It's available on Game Boy Advance, Nintendo Switch 1 or 2, and obviously through emulation. And it's more than worth your time. As time presses onward, this game and series really doesn't. And there's very few games that can say that. Okay, so the thing about this playthrough of the game, as I mentioned before, I played this game at the beach and I wanted a more casual experience, and it had been a minute since I played anything Metroid. You know, just kind of playing it in the car, tucking away in a room on a rainy day, or waiting for other people to get ready or something like that. So I did some Googling and found out that like the Japanese version of the game had a bunch of exclusive little banners at the end of the game depending on either how fast you beat it or how many items you found, but also it had an easy mode. Disregard everything I said before, I'll go crawl in a hole. Peace. Oh, and here's some banners.